The Super Nintendo is my favorite system of all time, but because of this, we have the PlayStation. What do I mean? Well, not exactly the Super Nintendo, but the Super Famicom. Many of us know the story on how Nintendo and Sony had partnered together for the amazing sound chip that goes into this system. Great, right? Well, Sony and Nintendo had also partnered up to come out with the Super Famicom CD. That we never got because Nintendo realized they made a terrible deal with Sony, stabbed them in the back, and that's why we got the Philips CDI and those terrible Mario and Zelda games. Anyways, there are things that live on from the legacy of the Super NES that in some ways Sony did better. Here you have the Super Famicom controller with your traditional D-pad there, A, B, X, Y, your shoulder buttons here. Overall, my favorite controller of all time between this and the Super Nintendo one. But what many people may not realize is how the original PlayStation controller drew inspiration. Sure, they had to split the D-pad because Nintendo had a copyright or patent on that design. Same thing with the face buttons, but if you look at the angles and everything, same. Also, Sony went ahead and doubled the shoulder buttons, so you didn't just have an L and R, but you had a 1 and a 2 left and right. So there is that. They went ahead and even if you take a look at this part of the controller here on the Super Famicom controller, they incorporated that again on the Sony PlayStation controller. There's really a lot of this controller in this controller. We've all heard the jokes on the Nintendo 64 controller. How the hell are you supposed to hold this? Again, the N64 controller gets inspiration from the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom controller. Look at the D-pad. Look at the area around the D-pad. Look at the face buttons. The green and the blue. Hey, you got green and blue. And even the C-stick buttons, again, resemble your face buttons here. And you have just 2 shoulder buttons on the top of the N64 controller. But that's, again, where Sony went ahead and maybe outdid Nintendo a little bit more. Dual analog sticks versus a single analog stick. No confusion as far as how to hold it. You still had the D-pad here in a good position. You could swap back and forth between analog and digital, and you still had your dual shoulder buttons versus just the single shoulder buttons. And again, later versions of the Sony DualShock controller also included rumble, where that was something that you had to purchase the rumble pack for the N64. I'll admit, I love both of these machines, although I think the Super NES and Super Famicom has aged better than the PlayStation 1. Did you know about these connections between this, and even this, and the PlayStation 5? Let me know down below in the comments.